Now, coming to you live from atop the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's the one, the only, Puckle Podcast.
It's Puckle! Puckle! It's Puckle! Puckle! Pokemon Underground Champions League, oh yeah! Puckle! Puckle.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the Puckle Podcast. I am your host, Trainer Thatch, here today with my excellent co-hosts. We've got the one and only fluffiest Whimsicott.
Ciao, everyone.
And some say Lord Jushiro.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to the Puckle Podcast. Puckle, of course, standing for the Pokemon Underground Champions League, where we talk everything Pokemon from the trading card game to the video game to everything in between. Begrudgingly, the trading card game, I feel like, to some people. They do not like. Do not like Thatch's discussions.
This is a Pokemon podcast. 50% of that is Pokemon trading cards. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm like actually, I don't know. I feel the itch to like go play again in person, but I don't know. Like, man, it's honestly, I thought about it more. Like, as I always have like my generic answer of like, my friend circle's full. I don't want to make new friends, but. It is genuinely at this point, I think, like an age discrepancy thing with like the typical clientele being 33 and then walking in, and it's definitely a bunch of kids who are like 18 to 24 that are there. And it's just like, yeah, we're not going to be able to bond.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be your friend.
Not so easily, at least.
Like, we're not going to get to a place where we're good friends right now. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's literally like, I can't invite these people to my home bar because it's literally legal.
It's not even that. I just don't want to. First, it takes a lot to get invited to my home bar. That's a different thing.
Well, fair. But, I was just making a point, you know.
That is a point. I have this problem with some of the students that I have, like at work, because I have a lot of students that I mentor in different ways, some directly, some indirectly, and they're always like, "Can we come and hang out?" And I'm like, "Even if you're old enough, no. I'm gonna say no. Like we gotta set up some boundary in our relationship, okay? We gotta set up some boundary fair. Because
you don't want Kendra to come after you.
It's not even that. I just don't like. I always make this joke where. When I talk to my other people that I work with, and I go, hey, we're getting too chummy, so I'll say something incredibly rude.
Thatch takes out the gun. It's like, we're getting too chummy. We're
getting too chummy here. And I want to make sure we maintain some level of professionalism, right?
Yeah, it's like when I find myself starting to talk about the fact that I write fanfic to my boss, and I'm like, no, there's something wrong in this interaction right now. No, this is not supposed to happen.
I do try to be nice and like be friendly and be to some extent be their friends, because I think it really helps. Like I have this one student who I believe I truly helped by he used to work for a different person, a different PI, and then that person left. And so I was his life raft, this student's life raft, and so I didn't really know what I was going to do with him, but it's worked out actually stunningly well. He had like a really bad attitude, like he wasn't going to be a scientist or anything. He was just there for the money to get things done, and now it's like a full 180. Like he's going to grad school now.
Wow.
And he's honestly like one of the better undergraduate students I've ever had. He's a great kid. This is nothing about Pokemon, but this is.
But it's interesting. Like that's my problem. Yeah. My boss is too nice and too friendly, and so when she has to like ask me to do stuff that I don't want to do, or she has to tell me, no, this thing you did is not right, I end up almost taking it personal. And I remember, no, she's telling me as my boss, not as my friend. But that's a risk.
I told him that he could come over to my home bar once the day he graduates with his PhD.
Yeah,
that's what I told him. I'm like, you can come to my home bar the day you graduate with your PhD, and I am no longer your advisor in any capacity.
Right.
Outside of like maybe a professional mentor, that's fine. I can We can hang out then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually very grateful because he had his 21st birthday last summer, and a lot of the people from work like went and took him out, but I was out of town doing something else that week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
and I missed it, and everybody's like, "Oh, you missed it. You're such a bad, PI." And I'm like, "Am I though?"
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't take a 21-year-old out when I was 32, and technically, like, kind of his boss.
I didn't cross the streams.
Technically, kind of his boss.
Yep.
He's a great kid, though. He's like the best student I've ever had.
Nice.
I am super happy. I get to like live out my fantasy of being a PhD advisor through him. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's just fantastic. He's a good kid. But yeah, I mean that's not really my week. Last week I went to a wedding, as I'm sure everybody heard.
Mm-hmm.
I was the not best man because they didn't want to have a bridal party, but they wanted me to speak.
Oh.
It was actually like super awkward because so one, I'm decent at public speaking. Who would have thought? After however many years it's been of podcasting at this point, I've lost count. So like I'm actually like pretty decent at public speaking. I do it for work as well. So I do a lot of public speaking. And so I gave one for these are twins.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan's listening right now. Ryan knows who I'm talking about. He was also at the wedding.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. Ryan, let me in your Pokemon Go group chat text group that you've left me out of. Huh? Okay, but that's just calling him out. I gave him crap about this a couple weeks ago. But either way, I was at this wedding. He's a twin, and so I actually spoke at his brother's wedding a couple of years ago as well.
Mm-hmm.
And his family, well, by his family, I mean his sister and his twin brother very much enjoyed the toast because I like roasted the groom and had a very good time. And I wasn't the only speaker. Like it was like the brother of the bride also spoke. It was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before this wedding that there's only 2 toasters again, like 2 people giving toast at this wedding. And one of them is me, obviously, but the other one's the bride's father. Like it's the bride's father and then me, some guy that the groom knows.
Oh no.
And so, I mean, I made a lot of jokes about that. I'm just like, yeah, I'm one of 2 people giving toast tonight. It was the bride's father and then me, some guy the groom knows. And it was a good one, but this guy's actually nicer than the other one. So it's really hard to like roast him really good.
Okay.
I gave him a couple things. There's some adventures that I can't share on the show that he and I have had, but yeah, it was a good time. I mean, it was a good wedding, but yeah, I have taken up most of the segment. I apologize.
No worries.
What have you guys been up to? Anything fun?
Yeah, we have so much Pokemon news to talk about. How dare you take some time to talk about it?
I know, it's all my fault.
There's nothing to talk about Pokemon. That was the joke.
You guys have anything going on, though? Anything fun?
Work. Too much work.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I thought she was going to say war, and I'm like, whoa, Whimsy.
Yeah, we got a little dark there.
It's
Wrong part of Europe.
Got a little dark there.
War never
for a sec.
changes.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
She got to work. Okay.
Thankfully not.
Over here, nothing much here in the upper west north side of the United States. Not much to talk about either.
Yeah.
It's getting hot.
Yeah, I got knocked out of the Puckle TCG tournament.
Oh.
Well, I decided not to play. I didn't want to play a real deck, which was my downfall.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I was playing like a Spathra EX, which it's a fun deck, especially if like it's really fun on ladder because it's not frequent enough that so people forget how to play against it a lot on the online ladder. Because Espathra EX has this ability that when it's in the active, the opponent's Pokemons, all of its attacks take an extra energy.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget that all the time, especially now with a lot of decks being very constrained on their energy counts.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing a Charizard deck and they forget to dump a third energy on the Charizard, like they're just stuck.
Yeah, they like think they're gonna be able to attack next turn, but they don't have enough energy.
They get in the active and then it's just concede.
Right.
Because Espathra EX is also a terrestrialized Pokemon, so it's grass type instead of, which is Charizard's terrestrialized dark type. It's his weakness, so.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like an anti-Charizard deck. It's really fun, but it also it works against a lot of other decks because, again, people just forget that they need more energy to play against it. But yeah, that did not do well in the Puckle tournament.
Did they forget this time around?
They didn't in the tournament. No, they knew how to play against it. So I just like the deck because like I was really vibing with it. So
no, I get that. I've been playing some Star Wars and I've been actively avoiding the good decks, the ones that everyone are playing.
Yeah,
just because I'm up for punishment, and I've been playing with every other deck except the good ones, and hence have not won too many of those tournaments.
Obviously.
So I really need to start using some Boba Fett because everyone uses Boba Fett, and he's too broken.
I understand completely. I've also started. I got really excited last weekend. This is like general nerdum. So like I'm going to Gen Con this year. This is my first Gen Con. I've never gone because my wife is really into like miniature painting, and so she wanted to go for some.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, so she wanted to go to like some of the classes and stuff, and like get better at it.
Yeah, I paint too, or used to.
And so she wanted to go take some of the classes. So that's the main motivation for us going. But also like it's just like general nerddom. So, but they released their events list, which I think it's locked in next week. So I need to actually go through and like find my events that I'm going to go play.
Here's the thing they never done and they should. A miniature Pokemon game. Sorry to interrupt.
They did actually do this. It's not like in like
they did.
Well, so there was the Pokemon.
No, I mean
trading...
like that, the traditional like Warhammer or
okay.
you know.
That's fair. I don't know if the market's big enough for that. I'll be honest with you. And two, like PTU does exist. So like you could do that. I do think there's some money to be made. I just don't know if it's enough that the Pokemon company cares.
Right.
3D printing exists, Jushiro. I can just get you whatever you want.
Oof.
Like somebody probably has modeled like at the 25mm scale every Pokemon.
Do you imagine Pokemon Conquest but in a miniature style?
Yeah.
Come on.
I know what you mean.
That sounds amazing. You get to evolve them, so you switch the miniatures from the basic to the middle to the evolution.
Right.
Oof. That would be fun.
You're right.
They could sell them, instead of selling one Pokemon at a time, they sell the evolution line. Oh.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see. Last year they had somebody held like retro Pokemon tournaments for TCG, and they haven't posted the event yet, and so I'm just gonna like keep my eye on it for a while, because if it does show up, I'm totally jumping in that. I'm gonna go play some retro Pokemon. I'm gonna go build a Lickitung deck and have a really good time. And make people's lives awful.
As they should.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, on that note, though, I guess we can kick it on over to the news. So let's cue that epic music.
Live from the Lavender Town Radio Tower. This just in.
Welcome to the news. In the news, we've got a few things. Nintendo confirmed we're going to be getting a new console news in the next 10 months.
At 3 a.m.
It's 3 a.m. like our time, but it's not like 3 a.m. Japan time.
Exactly. No, I know. But it was hilarious for me to wake up for just a simple article saying, they confirmed that it's coming, but that's it, at 3 a.m. And I'm like, really? Unceremoniously? This is how we're doing it? We've been waiting for years, and this is how you announce it?
Yeah.
I saw someone who had blatantly gotten up in the middle of the night because someone called them, do a YouTube video about it with like their hair going every which way. It was hilarious.
They also confirmed that we're going to have a Nintendo Direct in June, which will carve out the rest of the year for Switch releases. Maybe we'll get something Pokemon. I would love like a Pokemon spin-off. Like if a Pokemon spin-off happened, I'd be really into it. That would be nice. I don't know. Like new Pokemon Snap was so pleasant.
I haven't finished it yet. I am ashamed of myself for that. I have it, and I
should go play it again. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In sales news, Scarlet and Violet went up another 560,000 units in the last 3 months. It's only 80,000 away from 25 million, so it should cross that milestone next update. There's a good chance. I think it's a good chance it's going to be like the second best-selling Pokemon game.
Yeah,
after Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Blue.
Yeah. Netflix dropped the next 12 episodes of New Horizons in the U.S.
Yes, so, I gotta watch them. I'm a fan.
I do as well.
A fan of this new series.
I'm excited only because the 12 at episode 12 they actually describe the plot, and now I can watch the show and know what's going on. So I'm very excited for that. I will wait for my wife to return from her vacation before I indulge myself, though. But yes, all right. Well, Whimsicott, you've got the Scarlet Violet news.
Yeah, so next weekend we'll rerun the 7-star Terra raid of Fairy Primarina, and it will also have the Blissey raids alongside it if you need to grind items. And a thing to note is that Primarina is going to spam Sing, so have fun. Yep. And then there's a Regulation G update for the VGC. Shadow Rider Calyrex was the #1 restricted Pokemon day 1 in the Indianapolis Regional Championship, but it failed to make Top Cut. Top Cut had 2 Ice Riders, 2 Miraidon, 2 Terapagos, a Kyogre, and a Zamazenta. Miraidon won because Specs Miraidon go brrrr.
Yes.
It does say that the finals were really fun, and you can check them out on the YouTube channel of the Pokemon Company. So if you like watching VGC battles with commentary, as I sometimes do, maybe I'll do that.
Explain to me one thing though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it says that Shadow Rider Calyrex was the #1 restricted Pokemon day 1, but it failed to make Top Cut. Yeah. It was restricted. How did they expect it to make Top Cut?
No. So the format.
That's why I'm confused. Sorry.
No. So the Regulation G is a format in which you are allowed 1 restricted legendary. This is GS Cup.
Gotcha. Thank you. I needed that
GS
context.
Cup.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's probably gonna
everyone thought that Shadow Rider would do good, but then it did not.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And it might be just like they haven't figured it out yet. Nobody really knows yet. It was the first tournament with this regulate. Well, no, because EUIC probably had this regulation as well. But yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
I think what.
Oh no! It started in May. Yeah.
Yeah. What might have happened, knowing almost nothing about it, is that everyone thought it would be good, so everyone thought, a lot of people are going to bring it, and so they counter-teamed it.
Yeah, that might be what happened too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I wish I could get back into VGC. The problem is the meta moves so fast now because they changed the regulation so frequently. If the regulations didn't change so frequently, I would probably play. Like if we went back to I know this would be boring for a lot of people, but for Thatch, it would be pleasant. If we went back to where it was like VGC 17, here are the rules. And it's the same rules for a whole year. I think then I would be
6 months
too. Yeah, honestly, 6 months is reasonable too.
Couple of months thing is
it just changes. Yeah. It just changes. It would be okay if it was just like, hey, here's like a slight altering on the rules, but then we're going to go back. You know what I mean? Even if it was just something like that, I think I would be okay with it. But it does just change so rapidly that I just don't have time to keep up.
Yeah.
I don't think like 99.9% of people over 30 have time. So
topical.
But we talked about all the children stuff, so now let's talk about real men stuff. Pokemon Go now, May 19, Bone Sweet Community Day, people. I know you're all excited for that.
Look, I love the Bounsweet line. I really do. And they have great shinies, so.
That's true, actually. Because, Gen 7 is like, I think Gen 6 is technically where it started, but Gen 7, they like specifically, like all of the shinies were specifically designed instead of like
and they
palette
knocked
swaps.
It out of the bar.
Instead of palette swaps. So
right.
like.
And I still insist they need to go back and fix the old green ones. Ugly green ones.
I don't know about the ugly green ones.
Yeah.
I would be really okay if they just changed the ones that are just only slightly different.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, you know who deserves...
No,
like,
I want a pretty Jolteon.
Like, I'm really upset that they haven't, like, they never went back. Like, this is like the level that you understand that they're never going to do it, is because Shiny Pikachu is one of them that deserves to be changed. And they just haven't. Like, they're not going to.
But then,
I just feel like Gengar should be white.
No, it should be. Yeah. Mega Gengar is, right? Like, Mega Gengar is, so regular
Mega Gengar, but not regular Gengar. There's so many changes that they could do that to make Pokemon Shinies even better, and they just don't, mad about
it. The evolutions all need help except for Umbreon.
No, Sylveon's pretty good, too.
Yeah, Sylveon's fine.
Yeah, Sylveon's good.
And I even do like Sylveon. Vaporeon, yeah.
I think Sylveon, though, because Gen 6 still, like, specifically designed Shinies. I think
Sylveon was
not a casualty.
A way to say, yay, trans rights, but
right.
The others, they were just palette swaps.
Yeah. We just got lucky with Umbreon. Like, we just
Yeah. I got very lucky with Whimsicott, one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the TCG, though, we got Chien Pao. Chien Pao took over the top cut in Indy, leading to a clean win for the Dialga V-Star, leading to the card doubling in price despite a new set coming and a competitive season nearing its end. But hey, that's how TCG works. If I tell you how much these Star Wars cards are going for, you would die.
Because everybody also saw like Dialga V-Star as like a joke card too before this tournament too.
Right.
They're like, this isn't a real deck. And then it won. And because it did win because, unfortunately, like the way the top 8 ladder worked, it was just like a good series of matchups for Chien Pao to get there. And Chien Pao is weak to steel. And so like it's a very easy win for Dialga V-Star if it gets up against a Chien Pao. So I mean, it's good for both decks though. Like both decks like are decent decks. Dialga V-Star is fun. I will not buy it because it's a Regulation F card and it is going to just like leave rotation soon. By this time next year, it will not be a card. It does mean though that Arceus V-Star, Dialga V-Star, Arceus V-Star, Dialga V-Star, Palkia V-Star have all won a regional, I think. I think Giratina has as well. So like I think all of the Gen 4 mascots have won a regional.
Cute.
Yeah. Just pretty neat. Pretty nifty. All right. Well, on to Puckle's Pokey prediction. Which Pokemon is going to find their big top 8 finish first? Calyrex Shadow Rider or any kind of Sun team? My answer is honestly probably a Sun team. A Sun team will come out on top eventually. Sun always does something.
What does Sun have now that makes it so OP as a weather team?
Groudon is just good, and now there's also Koraidon.
In that battle, I thought Kyogre always won that weather team, so that's why. Because I thought Rain was the better Rain.
It has a lot more support, but the honest answer is right now, Sun also has access to all of the ancient Paradox Pokemon. Because all of them get like a 30% boost in Sun.
Right.
So they can run an item that gives them a boost on top of that, and they go.
I forgot about that because I forgot that I'm in the inferior freaking version.
Well, that's why Miraidon won. Okay, think about Miraidon. Miraidon just won that last regional, and that's because Electric Terrain setting goes ahead and activates all of the future Paradox Pokemon.
Right. Yeah.
So I think Terrain is just harder to wipe right now because you don't have as many terrain setters in the game. You have like Rillaboom, you have because the Tapus didn't make it this gen. Like the Tapus didn't make it. So so now we've got what we've got. I would honestly be surprised if the Paradox Pokemon and the Tapus ever see the same game. Unless they like nerf the ability on the future Paradox Pokemon.
Right.
I would be surprised though. Like if they ever see the same game, just for mechanical reasons.
Yeah, since the Paradox Pokemon are never restricted, they can't regulate them. So yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, they technically can't regulate the Tapus either because they're not restricted Pokemon.
Yeah.
So the idea would be like, unless there's like some major power creep where they just don't care that Tapu Koko's out there with a bunch of future paradox Pokemon.
You know, part of their status quo for a while.
that stuff like that has happened, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just like, yeah, this Pokemon's in the meta now. Enjoy.
Yeah. Just use all the most powerful ones. It don't matter.
Yeah. Incineroar.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that Incineroar keeps coming back. Tell me about it.
Gosh.
And Gen 8 only had like half the starters too, which is honestly the worst. Like, that's the biggest crime of Gen 8, by the way, is the fact that they didn't let all of the starters come back. Yeah. That's insane to me. How can you do, like, you have to just let all the starters come back. If you're going to do Dexit, you got to do that. Like, that's like the number one thing you have to do.
It's just let all the starters come back. Most cherished Pokemon.
Yeah, like that's the number one thing you have to do. You can't just not let half of them in.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you, having them in rotation is not a bad idea, but they do have to do it smartly.
Yeah, they do. They have to be intelligent about it. Well, and what's especially right now, like maybe this won't be a problem in 20 years when we're still talking about this for some reason. But like right now where we still get like 750-ish Pokemon in a game where like only 1,000 Pokemon exist. So like we're leaving out like a small subset of Pokemon from a game. Yeah. I think that you have to be, I think you have to be stupid to like not include like some of the more popular ones. Like Charizard gets to come, guys. If Charizard's there, Blastoise and Venusaur need to be there. Stop doing this. Stop.
Yeah.
You're hurting me.
You know, and if they don't, let's say they don't, because this is what I say about doing it smartly. It's like treat these Pokemon drops as their own like big deal thing.
Oh no, they
like,
did. So they did this time around, which I was actually really excited about.
Okay.
Like in Scarlet and Violet, like all the 7-star raids were them like adding in new Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was them adding in a new Pokemon, which was, well, adding in quote unquote. Like you could probably bring them in through home already, but it was very cool for them to be like, hey, here's a Pokemon that we added into the back end of the game. Go get it.
Yeah, as long as they do it like that, I don't mind the game coming out with not all Pokemon. As long as they treat, you know, each release.
Oh yeah, they should drip feed it. They should
like
They should
like
drip
a
feed
big
it.
deal.
Yeah. I agree with you. But yeah. All right. Well, that is going to be it for our news segment. We're going to kick things on over to our Poke Quiz, where we're going to quiz your co-host on their insane Pokemon knowledge.
Oh hi, and welcome to the Poke Quiz, the part of the show where we quiz our co-hosts on their insane Pokemon knowledge. I'm Mark from the Dunsparce gang, here to explain the rules. Our fabulous co-hosts will work as a team to answer 5 Pokemon-themed trivia questions that fans have submitted on the Discord server. Each question is worth 1 point, with Pokedex and multiple answer questions worth more, for a total of 7 points. The host can use a free hint at any time. If they get all the answers correct and do not use the hint, they can cash it in for an 8th point.
Welcome to Puckle's Poke Quiz. We are going to jump right on into it with our first question from the Purple Knight. He asks, what is the only type to have a specialist of its type introduced in every generation?
I want to say
Could you repeat the question one more time?
What is the only type to have a specialist of its type introduced in every generation? A specialist being a trainer that is named that uses, like, this is my type of Pokemon. You know, like they're known for using this type of Pokemon. And there's only one type that's been introduced in every generation. In every generation, there is one type that gets introduced with somebody like this.
Okay, so my initial thought was Rock, because Rock has a lot of gym leaders and stuff like that. But let's try to count them out. So it would be
Give me an example of one of them, because I'm kind of confused on the question.
Like gym leaders or Elite Four or
so gym
any
leaders,
other
Elite Four,
important trainers like, I don't know, trial captains or kahunas or stuff like that specialize in that type. So for example,
and how many new ones of those? That's the question.
It's like every...
One type. There's a specialist of one type introduced in every generation.
So
what
for
type
example,
is it? I need a type as an answer, Jushiro.
It can't be flying because there is no flying type specialist in Gen 1. Well, Lance technically is, but
gotcha.
Theoretically a dragon type specialist. You know?
Now I understand the question. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
And it's probably not fairy. It's probably not fairy.
Probably not.
Right.
So we have, in Gen 1, we have Brock.
Right.
Is there a rock type specialist in Gen 2? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
I forgot her name.
Yeah, but she's there.
Yeah.
And then we have, I'm really bad with names today.
Absolutely, don't worry. Rourke wasn't one of that?
In Gen 4?
Gen 4's Rock, yeah.
Wait, but I'm not so sure about Gen 2 anymore. Let's run it back. Gen 2, you have that person. Is there a rock type specialist in Gen 2? I'm drawing a blank. Jushiro, help.
I want to say it's still Brock because he's at the end.
But
I don't know if
he's not introduced in Gen 2, though.
Exactly. He needs to be introduced in Gen 2.
No, but that's what I mean. If we already have Brock in Gen 2, do we have a Rock?
No,
Jim
I don't think we
Johto?
have anyone that was
so.
Introduced in Gen 2. No, that's my point.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so actually, let's look at Gen 2 because that will probably help us since they did not repeat the gym typings from Gen 1, which means, okay, you have to look at, say, the Elite Four.
Right.
And the Elite Four of Gen 2 is essentially the same, except you have Jasmine instead of Koga.
And they replaced Bruno with someone, right? Or Bruno was still there?
I think Bruno was still there. Maybe.
Okay.
I can you tell that I've pretty much never finished a Gen 2 game?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sad.
I know. I'm sorry. It was a weird time for me. Anyway,
yeah, I don't particularly know.
I'm trying to go backwards and think, was there a poison type specialist introduced in every gen? And Koga, his daughter, was there one in Gen 3 though? I don't think so.
Poison?
So there
was the rock climbing dude, right? I forgot for the rock.
Okay, but
you've already canceled out Rock with Gen 2.
Yeah.
Right.
So get off that train of thought. Jushiro.
Okay.
Is there a grass type specialist introduced in Gen 2?
No.
I don't think so. How about Oh, you know what?
I think it's poison now that I think about it. Well, yeah, go ahead.
It would have to be. You guys have stated very correctly that it has to be one of the Elite Four typings, right? In Gen 1.
Oh, right.
It's Ghost.
Yeah.
Because you have Agatha, you have Morty.
Yep.
Then you have the Elite Four girl whose name I keep forgetting. Then you have Fantina. Then in Gen 5, you have one of the Elite Four. Then in Gen 6, you have... No, wait. In Gen 6, who do you have? Do you have a Ghost type gym leader in Gen 6?
Yeah, we do. Isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's the girl with the Hawaiian, no?
You're thinking of Phoebe from...
Phoebe, yeah.
Yeah, but Phoebe's not from Gen 6.
She's from Gen 3.
Oh, okay.
Again, introduced in that generation.
Yeah.
Is there a ghost type special in Gen 6?
I think there is. I just can't recall.
I can't remember all the gyms.
I know the one from Alola is Acerola.
Yeah,
I know the one from Gen 8 is the...
Onion. They call him in Italian.
Yep.
He has a very funny name in Italian. And then in Gen 9, there is the double battle gym leader.
Yeah.
But in Gen 6, ghost type gym, there isn't a ghost type gym in Gen 6.
But it might be an Elite 4, though.
No, the Elite 4 is, in Gen 6, is Fire, Water, Steel, and Dragon. And the champion doesn't have a type. And the gyms are Bug, Rock, and then there's...
There's Karina.
I can't remember.
There's Karina.
Yeah, exactly. You have...
And then Ramos. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, I can't remember a ghost type gym in Gen 6, but I can't remember. No. There's Electric.
Then Clement. Then Valerie.
There's Valerie.
Then Olympia.
Which is Psychic.
And
then Ice.
Wolfram. Yeah.
So no, there is no ghost type specialist in Gen 6. Unless it was someone who was introduced in Auras who wasn't in the main games.
That wouldn't count.
No, someone who wasn't in the in Gen 3.
This question is not that tricky. I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, no, this is so much harder than I thought.
Yeah, this is a hard question. I'm gonna make this worth 2 points if you get it, so that we can just move on and skip the next question. But
yeah,
you are correct though. It has to be one of those Elite 4 types. You're on the right trail there.
Who? Okay. In Gen 2 we have and then in Gen 3 we have I'm thinking fighting for some reason, but
fighting we didn't have a fighting. Oh yeah, the Elite 4 Bruno. Forgot.
Yeah,
I was going to say Bruno, yeah.
And then we had what's his name?
Chuck.
Thank you. And then in Gen...
It might be actually fighting, yeah, because then I know that... I don't remember Gen 3, but I know Gen 4 was...
Okay, but we need to remember them all.
Oh.
That's the whole point of this. Gosh. Gen 4 has...
Maylene.
Crasher Wake.
Maylene. No, Crasher Wake was a water type.
Water type. But he was a luchador, so...
he was a luchador, yeah.
Every single time.
But Maylene was a fighting type gym leader, yes.
Yeah. And then, in Gen 5 you have Dude. I remember his face.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall.
And then in Gen 6 you have Karina. And in Gen 7 you have Hala. And then in Gen 8 you have...
Alternate Universe Onion.
B.
Yeah,
exactly. B. And in Gen 9 you have... wait, do you have someone in Gen 9?
Gen 9 has something for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So if we can think of someone who was fighting type in Gen 3, we have our answer. Jesus.
Go through the gyms. Go through the gyms in Gen 3.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it's been so long, and that's my least favorite.
You go to Rustboro City, you get to Roxanne, and then you go to the island.
Yep.
And there's a gym leader there who likes to surf and has a Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Brawly.
Brawly. There we go. We've done it.
Fighting types. Gosh.
The answer is fighting type. I'm giving you 2 points for that because that took forever.
That took forever.
You should dock us points because it took forever, but thank you.
All right. Yeah. So our next question is it was like decent conversation though, so like I'm not upset about it.
Fair.
All right. So the next one is your Pokedex entry question as always. Because we skipped the other one.
Fair.
It's going to come to you from Flowering Cactus.
Ooh.
That's a cool name. That's one I haven't seen before and I like. Its Pokemon Shield entry reads, it stores food beneath its fur. It might share just one bite, but only if it really trusts you. Who's that Pokemon?
Repeat it one more time.
It stores food beneath its fur. It might share just one bite, but only if it really trusts you.
Yes, fur.
Well, something that is pretty furry and would...
Hide food?
Yeah, but I don't know if Munchlax would hide food or just eat it all
the two that comes into mind is Munchlax and the big squirrel, which I forgot the name.
Oh, Greedent.
Greedent.
But I don't think Greedent would hide it in its fur because it's a
it hides in
squirrel.
a pouch. Yeah, in the mouth.
What else is fluffy and might hide away food? Yeah, some other squirrel type
and
thing.
It's greedy about it because it would share one bite or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Munchlax because it has those tufts of fur around its legs.
Yeah, I think it's Munchlax, honestly. It's what
Let's try.
Feels like, yeah.
Munchlax is correct. That's 2 points for you guys. That is correct. The second entry was going to be from Pokemon Pearl, and it is it hides food under its long body hair. However, it forgets it has hidden the food.
Oh.
It must stink.
Oh, right. Well, there we go. That is, you guys are 4 for 3. Your next question is your multiple answer question. There's only 2 points available here. There are 4 answers. I'm gonna give you a point per 2 answers.
Okay.
This is from Ernie, and he would like to know, to celebrate 25 years of Pokemon in the United States, Time Magazine issued a special edition with 4 different covers. What 4 Pokemon were featured on the covers of these Time magazines?
Which were totally available for sale in my country. Thank you, Thatch.
It was better than the other question.
I mean, if it's a 24th anniversary, I would think it's the starters and Pikachu, but...
You do get 3 strikes. You do get 3 strikes.
Okay. Well, I think one of them has to be Pikachu.
Pikachu is correct. That is one of them.
It has to be.
The other one has to be Charizard, no?
Charizard is incorrect, no.
Oh.
Okay,
that's strike 1.
It's probably not some... Okay, so... What is representative of Pokemon, but not
Pikachu.
The starters?
It wasn't Charizard. It wasn't Charizard, but it might have been...
Charmander?
Charmander is correct. That's 2. That's 1 point.
Okay, do we want to try saying Squirtle and Bulbasaur as well, Jushiro?
Yeah.
Because it would make sense. Okay,
it would make sense to be the starters.
Squirtle is correct.
And then the last one has to be
and then Bulbasaur is also correct. That is 2 points.
Yeah, I knew it was.
That is 2 points. You guys are 6 for 4, and technically haven't used the hint.
Technically.
All right. So your next question is your base stat question, as always. It is going to come to you from Liger, the trivia master himself. What Pokemon with Chlorophyll, the ability, has the highest speed?
Whimsicott has 116, but I don't. Does it get Chlorophyll as its hidden ability? I think it does. What else is really fast already and gets Chlorophyll? There are not that many grass types that are faster than Whimsicott.
Yeah. I mean, I know a very little fast grass types that come to mind.
Let's see.
What about Cottony?
Cottony is you mean Jumpluff?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know if Jumpluff's base speed is higher than 116. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know it gets Chlorophyll, for sure. But oh gosh, is it faster than 116?
Right. That's the question.
I think it might be, but maybe we should use the hint, because I would honestly feel bad about cashing it in at this point.
Yeah. Let's use
this it. This is a dual type Pokemon with
okay.
Introduced in introduced after Pokemon number 493.
Yeah, okay. It's Whimsicott. I can't think of anyone else.
Is that your answer?
Jushiro, I can't think of anything else, honestly.
Honestly, I go with Whimsicott too.
Whimsicott is correct with 116. In second place is Jumpluff, though.
No, see, I wasn't that off.
Jumpluff is in second place with 110. Lilligant, the Hisuian variant, is 105. And then both Levion and Sawsbuck after that with 95.
Nice.
So you guys pulled 7 today, so that's good.
Nice.
Now let's see if I can do simple math. And we can add this all together. This is where it all
falls apart.
This is where it all falls apart. Actually, you guys were tied. No, you're just still tied. All right, here we go. Let's sort it. In first place, we have a tie between Sigma and Linian at 35 apiece. In third place, we have a tie between Jushiro and Whimsicott with 33 apiece.
Woo!
In fifth place, we have Claude with 30. In sixth is Philo with 22. And seventh, a tie between Sublime and Shark at 14. In ninth place, Shamu with 13. And bringing up the rear, Bocephus with 5. But yeah, that is it, guys. We are going to kick it on over to our topic. We'll catch you over there. Hey, Thatch here. A lot of you have been asking how you can hang out with us during the week. Well, the best way to do so is come to our Discord server at puclpodcast.com. You can join our server and you can hang out with us, talk Pokemon, battle, do a bunch of cool things, join in our tournaments. So what's stopping you? Come on over, puclpodcast.com. You can jump right on in and have a good time talking with the hosts of the show, as well as the large community we've gathered over the years. So come on, let's hang out. Welcome to our topic. Our topic is our interaction with the Pokemon community then and now. I think all of us have been around since at least like 2014, if not longer. At least with this show, right? Like that, which is a decade. Let's not think about it for too long.
Yeah. No.
In the past decade, my interaction with the Pokemon community has certainly changed. I see it very differently. I don't interact in the same ways. And part of this is because the Pokemon community has changed. And I kind of wanted to use that as a jumping off point for just a discussion in general, maybe nostalgic, maybe not, of just like how things have changed and just think about it. I don't know. Like, I think a big thing, and I know Whimsicott can certainly sympathize or understand this, is like Pokemon YouTube's like way different now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. It's just it's like drastically different. I miss the days when I was like very excited to watch a Pokemon video. Like I did used to watch Draft League, and I think that's definitely a change in pace with myself not being as into competitive as I used to be. But also, too, I think Draft League's kind of fallen out of style, honestly, among the Pokemon community, because it's
funny you should say that, because I have been watching Draft League videos lately.
I have seen people bring it back on cart because they've got the workaround now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is more exciting. I do think like the death of Draft League was when it fell off cart. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do think that was the death of Draft League, which is unfortunate, but the Pokemon Company made its decision, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did it. Like, it's obviously possible because it is possible to do now. Why it's such a why would they jump through so many hurdles to make it happen? I don't understand. Because the way they're doing this, for those of you who don't know, if you play like a typical online match right now, the timer's stuck, I think, maximum to like 20 or 30 minutes. So it makes it impossible to really play like a full 6v6 Pokemon battle. Like 30, like if it was 40, I'd be like, yeah, we're comfortable, we're good. But 30 with animations and everything is just not plausible, in my opinion.
Even if neither of you is playing any sort of stall, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Like, it makes it very, very difficult. There is a workaround by you setting up your own tournament. You can set it up so I think like it's just your time is 30 minutes, which is very doable. As well as I think the total battle time is 60 minutes still, but
yes,
it's like back to the old ways.
But this does mean that you have to pre-establish a time window of 3 hours in which you have to have your battle.
And it has to be done like, you can't do it like then and now set it up. You have to like wait. You have to do it like 2 days in advance or something.
Something like that, yes. Which, I mean, if you're doing a draft league, it kind of makes sense because you would have to plan your battle ahead most of the time anyway.
Yes, but it is. I think that's enough of a hurdle to make it difficult, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen like any super big YouTubers do Draft League anymore.
I found out who's doing it. Shady Penguin's doing it now.
Is Shady? Oh yeah, Shady's doing Draft now, but he's the only one that I would call a really big, huge name.
I don't even know if he's a big. I think you and I would call him a big name, but I don't know that anybody else would now.
Not as a YouTuber, as a PokeTuber.
Yeah, again, I think again, you and I are the only ones who would say, well, not the only ones, but I wonder if that's just like a relic of us remembering Shady Penguin from 10 years ago.
He's like big name enough to have been a commentator for the official VGC streams.
Yeah, I don't even know if that matters though most of the time anymore. Like,
I don't think people even remember that, but I would give him like the honorary like legacy title of big name PokeTuber.
I do really like it. I do miss it, but it's okay. I do miss that kind of content. I do hope it comes back. Like, I'm really hoping Gen 10 they realize that this is something people want and they just bring that back because this is better than Sword and Shield. Like, it exists in some form.
Yes.
And I'm kind of hoping Gen 10 brings it back, especially if Gen 10's on the next Switch, which it probably will be now that we've got the announcement of the announcement.
I don't know. It's like this video I was talking about the person who got up at 3 a.m. to make the video. They were like, okay, so first of all, they said this fiscal year, and you have to remember that the fiscal year for Nintendo ends March 31st. And when the Switch itself was announced, it came out 2 years after the announcement. So even if it's obviously like...
No, it wasn't 2 years. It wasn't 2 years.
Yes, it was. It was announced in 2015.
No.
Yes.
No, it was not that long. No.
Look, again, this person was sleep deprived, but I think they gave me good info.
I'm gonna look this up now. I have to look now. I have to look this up because I totally.
While you do that, they obviously.
I totally thought that Nintendo Switch was announced in like 2016. Like, I remember it was October. I remember October.
Maybe they said it was going to be the Switch, but I don't know. Anyway, they obviously can't like tell us and then have us wait another 2 years now. But
okay, wait. I can give you this. I can give you the answer. It was no. Okay, the video that revealed the Switch released October 20th, 2016.
Yeah, but that's not the time that they told you there was going to be a successor to the Wii U.
Okay, that's fair. That's different. I do agree with my imagination is that this announcement is that 2 year announcement that you're talking about.
No, I think this announcement is going to be like I think within March next year they are going to officially announce it.
No, I think before then.
Because at this point they've confirmed it.
I think before that they will. Like, I think there's a non-zero chance that we get like a video revealing what it is in June. I think there's a very real possibility.
They have already said that they will not tell us about it in June. That was what the whole tweet was about. The tweet was like, so we will not talk about it in June. Yeah.
Then October. It's gonna happen October. It's gonna happen in October then. It's gonna be like an October fall announcement, and they're gonna reveal it just like they did the Switch, and then it's gonna come out randomly. The only problem is like at least with like the Switch itself, it like they had like games coming out for the Wii U that they could have very easily port to this new console, and like there's just no rumors of anything that's gonna come out with this right now. And like honestly, this next Switch needs like a kickoff like Breath of the Wild. Like it needs something like that. Like it needs a Breath of the... And
it's not gonna get Zelda, so...
Year one of the Switch was like full of bangers. It was full of bangers. Like it had it needs Zelda. there was Zelda and there was Mario.
It's not gonna have Zelda though. There's no way they get another one. No, there's no way. They might get like what are they called? Those games with the oh gosh, the other Zelda game with the same graphics but the mobs of mooks.
Oh, you're thinking of Hyrule Warriors. Yeah,
thank you, Hyrule Warriors. They might give you something like that.
Those games are meh. Honestly, we'll probably get like the Mario Odyssey follow up. That's probably what we'll get with the next console. But either way, that's not Pokemon related.
Maybe a Splatoon.
I'd love Splatoon too. I love Splatoon as well, but like I just don't think it's as much of a push as people think it is.
Oh, I don't even own Splatoon 3.
We need Mario Kart 9, which is Mario Kart 9. But yeah, either way, I really think that maybe if it happens, we get better battle times. I don't know. My interaction with the community is way different. Like even on like Twitter and stuff. Partially that's because like I don't want to say I've fallen back in love with Pokemon, but I found a new way to love Pokemon in like the past couple of years, which was the TCG, right? So like my Twitter's changed into mostly TCG people, which is for good and for bad. Like it's very good for me to like understand what's going on in the meta and figure out cards. But honestly, it's put me in a place where there's this world of Pokemon that exists that I don't think like the typical fan, maybe even those listening to the show, like some of the people listening to the show, certainly like a higher percentage than the normal population. But it puts me in this mindset, because this is what you hear about a lot, about the World Championship series and about regionals and everything. And I know a lot of us will watch that kind of stuff because it's fun to watch. But like just watching the number of people that are just only constantly talking about like championship points and tournament structures and all this other stuff, honestly, it's exhausting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. See, I saw a post on Tumblr a few days ago that really nailed it on the head, I think. It was like, Pokemon is such a huge franchise that you can get like 4 hardcore Pokemon fans in a room, and like one of them is into the anime, one of them is into Pokespa, one of them is into the VGC, and one of them is into the TCG, and they're going to sit at a table, and we love the same thing to the same level, and we cannot talk to each other. Like, we don't know what the other is talking about.
That is true. It is a massive franchise and endeavor. I don't know. Like, it's... I don't know. Like, I just thought about this, like, recently. I'm like, man, the way I interact with Pokemon and the community nowadays is definitely different than what it was a decade ago. Like I love competitive Pokemon. I still crack open Showdown and like I play and I have a good time, but I just don't have the time to like really invest in it. TCG, at least like I can go steal a deck list and I'm like doing okay.
My take on the community is a little bit different. And it's not necessarily an issue that stems just for the Pokemon fandom, but every fandom really on the internet. And it's that it's always fun in games and it's always fun to have a fandom until it gets really negative. And then suddenly it all becomes, the cool thing is to hate on it, instead of actually just enjoy it. It happens to every fandom, Star Wars, Marvel, Pokemon. There's a point where, the fans themselves, much like Dark Knight movie says, you live long enough that you become the villain.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. Mm-hmm.
To be fair, some of those franchises did took like a nosedive in quality. So
true, but at the end of the day, and this is my point, like people who invest so much hate on something that is just not important is always sus for me.
No, it drives me nuts.
Because I get you, yeah, I get you getting mad because you can't afford food, right? You can't afford to pay your bills, right? Or you're angry because other people can't do that. It's okay to be really angry when, people are treated unfairly, their rights are being taken away. It's okay to have hatred. And, as long as the fight is worth it and it means something, getting angry because the game doesn't include what you want or the movie is not like you want it, it's just, at the end of the day, just plain dumb.
I think there's
it's such a waste of energy.
I do think there's a flip side, like a somewhat of a flip side to this. Like not to like, I'm playing slightly devil's advocate, but I agree with you.
Let me understate this. I don't talk about saying like I do not enjoy it. It needs to be fixed. Though I'm not saying like real criticism, those are very important.
Okay, that's what I wanted to bring up because sometimes there's the things where I think that a great example I have, like, I love Scarlet and Violet. I think it's a great game, but there's a lot of moments when you're collecting the Sunflora, like, that's not a good time. Okay, when you go to the lake, that's not a good time.
No, absolutely. Though, yeah.
And like I talked about this like a few weeks ago. Like, we played the Sunflora thing on stream not too long ago, and it's like, I don't know what they did, because what ends up happening is like the frame rate of just the Sunflora dips. Your frame rate is fine. It's just the Sunflora, and it's just like, guys, I think there's a fair criticism to be had about like the game's performance, especially for a company this large. And they did for the record, they did like address the fact that they realized it too, and that it needed to be fixed. Like Game Freak themselves have done that, which I think is very good on their part to address that. And I think they kind of are, based on what we're seeing in terms of the next set of Pokemon releases. Like, we don't have a date for Pokemon PLZA like we did. Like, we don't have a date, and that kind of makes me hopeful that like it might end up being like the next winter, like it might be like the 2025 release for Pokemon, like the 2025 release. Like
that they might work on the game until it's decent before releasing it.
They also are giving them like this awkward year gap. Like we were talking before the show when we were trying to just figure out what we wanted to talk about. And I always make the joke when I don't know what to talk about, I go back to our logs from 2015, because that was a year where we just had a gap with nothing in it for Pokemon. And I look at that and I don't know, like very recently, especially with like the transition to the Switch, I've felt that they needed to at least take an extra year to at least figure out how to do a console level game, like a home console level game. They like need that little bit of extra time. And I don't feel like they're giving it to themselves, and maybe they will now. I hope so. But sometimes I think there's like also like blinders on some of the community, because like if you there are people who are just like, hey, the frame rate's kind of trash. Could you please fix?
Thus, the whole game is trash. That's the point what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about fair. Yeah, criticism.
No. But there are people who respond to fair criticism where they jump to that conclusion, like you just did. And then they go, no, Scarlet and Violet's the best game ever. And it's just like, no, the game's fun, but like we can acknowledge, like, there's a happy medium, right? Like there's a happy medium where like,
yeah, but people in fandoms lately have kind of lost the ability to understand that there are gray areas about opinions.
I think we're talking about a greater cultural issue than we're talking about Pokemon at this point, but
that's why I started saying that this happens in every fandom. This is not a Pokemon exclusive thing, but it is a problem in communities in general, where they ultimately just half of it end up being just haters. They're just there to hate on this thing that they used to love, and now for whatever reason, and to feel like they're in some part of a clique, because I do see that these people like have their own little cliques, where it's just about not just about hating the thing, but hating those that like the thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I understand, because I understand people who say like, well, Violet and Scarlet are my favorite games of all time, and for me, they're the best, right? You do you, bro. I mean, you're not hurting anyone, and
exactly.
You're not. But those that go like, oh, you're dumbass because you like Scarlet and Violet because, I don't know, Gold and Silver were the best, and you're a dumbass because you like the new stuff, right? That's where I'm like, see, you're not getting what a fandom is. That's not how a fandom is. And it's not about, oh yeah, you're totally right that Scarlet and Violet are the best games ever. No, it's like, oh man, I'm so glad that you like Violet and Scarlet. They're not the best for me. For me, the best is still Gold and Silver. But man, I totally understand why you would like them. You know, that's how you address a fandom versus like, oh, look at all these noobs that they just give Game Freak all their money to pay Pokemon when they're trash games. And they're not trash games. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
They're not perfect, but not trash. And that's the negativity that I find sometimes online, that it's what gets me, like, I'm not gonna interact, because my way of enjoying a fandom is, I'm gonna enjoy it, what I love, what I don't love, I might not watch it again, but I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna attack someone for liking something.
No, I have a phrase for this, right? I don't like to yuck anybody's yum. You know, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter if it's, especially if it's not harming me, right? Like somebody liking Sword and Shield, right? Like I think Sword and Shield are very undercooked. I think they're very undercooked. But if like somebody's like, these are my favorite games, it's like, good for you, I guess. Like I can think that they're undercooked and you can still enjoy it. Like, because honestly, at the end of the day, like a Pokemon game is still a good game, if that makes sense. Like
and
Pokemon,
people do like eating cookie dough raw.
I do. I am one of those people. So you're correct. I think you are correct, Jushiro, about that. I mean, but some of the discourse online in general has just become very exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And I just miss old PokeTubers. I feel like that's what's done this episode is I just missed old PokeTubers. So
there are still a few who do like a really nice job, I have to say. Like I saw an hour-long video today just before doing the show that was all about the connections of the various legendary Pokemon of Gen 9 to various world mythologies.
That's cool.
It's really cool. I'll send you a link later. And it was also like, first of all, everything is tied up really beautifully, like really friggin' beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also like, okay, and obviously, the thumbnail and the title were also like, and then I'm gonna tell you where I think Gen 10 is gonna be. And then it was like 5 minutes of the whole video that said, it could be there based on this, but they have to do that. Like, they have to give you a completely sensational thumbnail and title, which, like, who started doing that? That guy who does relaxing astronomy videos, which I followed for years and I loved it. And now he's started having to like make like catastrophic.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Or really yeah. And I'm like, dude, I trusted you. I
don't know. I wonder how much of it's just like, because like I think about like 10 years ago and like the algorithm on YouTube also didn't change really until like around then. That's like when the algorithm really kicked in.
Yeah, the algorithm now is awful. I think they literally need to have such crazy thumbnails and titles, or they're like, it's really, really.
And that sets the argument around, the community, and it's always about what's scandalous and what's all controversial. And it's never about just understanding the consequences. The phrase, the developers are lazy, it's always so frustrating, especially for what we know that's happening in the game industry, that they're being treated like freaking slaves, because y'all people complain about, they don't spend enough time cooking. That ain't the developers. The developers ain't going like, we want to release this uncooked. It's the executives, right? It's the people on the boardroom going like, no, we need to meet these numbers for this quarter, so I don't care that game is unfinished. You're gonna release this game now because we need the money. Those are the people that are actually ruining a good thing, but the hate then goes to the developers, which are the ones that are building the things that we love. And they don't build them based on just being lazy or just no ideas. They build it because they want to build something awesome, but then there's the money involved.
So I want to like take a step back, mostly so that this whole conversation doesn't just evolve into us yelling about the same thing about people. Because I know we're very aligned on a lot of things, Jushiro. I mostly want to take it back to talk more on the focus on the Pokemon, because I think we've all interacted with it in different ways, right? Like the community overall, like the big one, like I was trying to relate with Whimsicott earlier, is YouTube and stuff like that. And I do know that, like, especially like in like the past, I don't know, I don't want to say since 2016, but definitely like since 2018, 2019, like that culture shifted to more of a like, hey, let's make a camp and like sit in there. Yeah, so I mean that's probably why a lot of us have stepped back and it's changed and it's much different.
Well, it's actually, for me it's different, because I would not consider YouTube part of my Pokemon community interaction. It's more like stuff that I
That's content for me. Like,
exactly, that's content for me because I
don't see it as community. When I think about community, I think about chat rooms and forums and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, forums and Discord servers and in-person events even. And I think about you guys, obviously. So for me, what changed was, first of all, I had a different Pokemon experience than you guys.
That is true.
Because I was too old to play Pokemon in school. So I never played Pokemon on the playground. And then I was essentially in a community in the sense that I would sometimes lurk on forums that talked about the parts of the franchise that I was interested in. And then I found you guys and I found a real community because I was interested in hanging out with you guys. And also you made me interested in competitive Pokemon. And I was very engaged with the community until essentially Pokemon took away OU1 card from me.
Man, tell me about that though. Tell me about that.
So I'm still here with you guys, but I'm no longer every day in the server looking for battles. You know, I'm no longer on Showdown every day testing out teams.
So we're saying this is Pokemon's fault. It's all Pokemon's fault. I mean I kind of agree because when I couldn't do like at least when Dexit happened, I was like, well, at least I could play in like a limited OU meta, which I always find very fun. And then they did take OU1 card away, which was very sad. And now there's VGC, but again, like we were talking about earlier, like it just moves so fast. It's so hard to keep up with.
For us, it moves too fast for us. And even like, so this generation, I've talked about it.
I don't know. So I think it moves too fast for anybody who like has a job. Yeah. Like I'm gonna be honest. That's my answer. I think it moves too fast for anybody who has a job. Unless that's like your thing, like your one thing.
Yeah, you have a single hobby and it's Pokemon.
And it's competitive Pokemon because I very much feel that. Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, I could get into VGC because like I'm rusty, but like I could get back, you know, like I know I could. But it's
I know I only could if I left all of my other hobbies
exactly
to the side, and I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't be able to play Dungeons and Dragons like I do. And maybe that's also part of it is that I've also just expanded into different hobbies as well. Not saying that I don't really like Pokemon, but I see it as like gen heads in college where it makes me a more well-rounded person. You know, I do that. I do some woodworking stuff. I'm into 3D printing. I have a few hobbies. I bowl now again. I missed it. I miss bowling. I'm back. What a nerdy sport, by the way. Just as a complete aside. But like, I go bowling and I'm like the youngest person there at 33. And I argue with people about stupid things.
You know, the other side of the coin of the thing I told you about before about the Tumblr post is that I can have other hobbies such as being in a fandom of an anime that is not related to Pokemon, but since the age bracket of the people in that fandom is kind of like people younger than me mostly, they are people who have all grown up with Pokemon, like you guys, which means that they still like Pokemon enough to talk to me about it, just in a different way.
Oh yeah, I love the different perspectives.
Exactly. Like, maybe I don't watch the anime, but I don't know, I can spend like 2 hours chatting online with a friend saying, oh, our favorite characters from this show would have this Pokemon team.
I actually have like found a lot of enjoyment recently as well in the Pokemon community. This maybe is a nice little capstone to the whole discussion, but I found it like one of my more enjoyable things now is now that the generation after me is finally getting to the place where they're old enough, right?
I was gonna say the same thing.
It's really fun to watch. Like, I know I'm old. Well, older. I'm not gonna say I'm old. 33 is not that old. But like I'm an older member of the community, and I like watching the people who are in like their early 20s and seeing what their experiences are and seeing what they like, because it is a different take, right? It's a different take on the franchise and the community especially because like the difference between us is like we have in our brains, there's like a before Pokemon time and there's an after Pokemon time.
Yes. And for those people, there isn't.
Yeah, they just have Pokemon's always existed. It's always been here.
I was going to say a similar thing, but it's literally the next generation, as in my friend's kid is now old enough to play the TCG, and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a deck, because she's like not even 6 yet, so she plays with pre-made decks. And I'm like, I'm going to buy a pre-made deck so we can play together. And that's like full circle again, you know?
I really enjoy like seeing people though that like have just like been brought up in Pokemon and like seeing their takes on things. I really enjoy that perspective. I especially like the one I like seeing people who got into Pokemon not through Gen 1, which I think some people that we've interacted with on the show here are in that camp.
I know more people that started.
Some of them were too young because they weren't born yet. When
some of them weren't born yet. Yeah, some of them weren't born yet now. So it's just really interesting to see that difference.
Yeah,
I've grown to love it. Yeah,
I mean, I watched Pokemon ruin Saturday morning cartoons too, so like that's fine. Like, yeah, because that was like the beginning of anime taking over the US.
And it's different, and it's the main reason as to why things change. And many of the old fans are always going like, "Oh, it's no longer as good as it was." Well, it's no longer for you.
It's not that it's not for us. It's just that it's different now, right? And that's just because
it's different because they're trying to get a new generation.
Well, it has to be different. Like, I don't know. Like we're already playing a game in which every 3 years we go catch a Pikachu again. Where we all make a Pikachu, like we all catch a Pikachu every 3 years collectively. There has to be something different about why I'm catching that Pikachu, okay? Like,
if it stayed any more of the same than it already does, it would fail. We'd go crazy.
How many people play chess? Like, I know that people play chess, but is it?
I think a lot, actually. I think a lot of people play chess.
Right, no, it's a lot of people, but it's the same amount of people that were playing in the 1990s or in the 1980s or 50s. No, there were a lot more people playing chess that time than there is now. There's still people playing, but it's not the same, right? Because
I don't know the number of that, and because like I look at like the Pokemon sales numbers now, like we can come like full circle. Like the Pokemon sales numbers, and you look at how well like Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield have been selling, compared to every game before that, with the exception of Red and Blue. And I really think that I don't think that it's so much. One, there's just like more people in general.
Yeah, a lot more people.
Yeah, there's just like more people that exist. Period. Which I think is part of that. So I don't know, like. Part of me wishes we could normalize to like a per capita type deal, but
honestly, I had never thought about it in those terms, but it's so like I remember
like that's the wrong way to do it. But like there has to be a normalization factor.
I remember like when we were like, oh, we're going to hit 5 billion people on the planet. That's going to be such a big deal.
No, I got blown away. I got blown away because the other day somebody said like 8 billion. I'm like, wait, is that right? Did that happen already?
It is right, unfortunately. And it happened in the space of 30 years, going from 5 to 8. That's insane.
Like, I was just like, when did, because like somebody said it was like on a TV show. Cause like the last that like my brain registered that there were going to be people was like how many people there were, it was like 7 billion. I'm like, okay, we're going to hold that for a little bit. And then we'll make it to 10 now. We'll make it to 10 before I die. And then it was just like, I'm like, no, it's 8. Oh, wow. When did that happen? Apparently a couple of years ago, and I just wasn't paying attention. And I was just like, whoopsie doodle. That's terrifying.
Yes.
That's a little terrifying. We'll see how it goes.
It's like it happened a little fast.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, but yeah, I think about like the sales numbers and like how successful they are. And well, one, it's because I think the Nintendo Switch actually did a very good job in just grabbing people back. in general, like to Nintendo, because handheld systems, I think, have always been thought of like as toys. And when we got the Switch, it's like, no, this is a home console, this is like a PS5 type deal, but it's also a handheld. And you got Pokemon fans that used to play like the original games, and so they bought it, and like probably some of their kids are playing it too.
Yeah.
I think there's some goodness there. I think that's why it's selling so well.
My other friend was like, he has a slightly younger daughter than my other friends. And he was like, so what game can I play on the Switch with my kid that has Pokemon? And I was like, well, you want Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, those games sold. I think I still credit the success in quotes of those games solely due to them being the first ones on the Switch.
Absolutely. But it's the only one he can play with.
Yeah. With his kid. Yeah.
Like a 4-year-old daughter that they can actually kind of play together.
I do agree with that. I think there's a place for that type of game to exist. I just don't think it's in the mainline Pokemon game roster, if that makes sense.
I agree, absolutely.
Like, I wouldn't be mad if there was like a Let's Go successor.
Yeah, because it's for kids. I would like that.
It just needs to not be hyped up like it's the next mainline game. Okay, that's all. That's all.
Exactly. I agree.
That's marketing, baby. They don't know the meaning of subtle or... Marketing is all about bringing the money no matter...
I mean, to a 5-year-old, that is a main series Pokemon game, so...
Also, you have to think about that game came out in like 2018, right? That game's 6 years old now.
My brain is terminally in 2016, like...
That game is older than the kid I recommended it for.
Yeah, that game's like 6 years old this year. That's insane.
It's like I was thinking of telling kids, like, before your time, portable consoles and living room consoles were separate. We had something to carry and we had something for home. Now it's all in one. It's just crazy, guys. It's crazy.
I know I actually learned, this is a complete aside because I think a conversation's over, but I learned very recently, back to my student that I was talking about at the intro, through him, that kids these days don't understand how to computer that well.
Yeah, they don't know what a folder is.
Like they don't know how to computer because they've been raised on tablets and everything. Like I was just like, yeah, you just do these functions on Microsoft PowerPoint.
I mean, but what ages are we talking about though?
20-year-old people.
Early mid-20s don't understand how to...
People in college don't know how to save a file to their computer and then retrieve it.
And then they also don't understand basic Microsoft product functions. It's kind of wild. It's very wild. And the youth these days,
Yeah.
It's honestly because of technology's just evolved so quickly.
No, it's because the young people were like, we understand technology, and then they were like, oh, they're gonna learn on their own. We don't need to teach it in school anymore. Except
I think that's part of it.
As you said, kids don't actually grow up on a computer. They grow up on a smartphone or a tablet. So again, they do not know what a folder is.
They do a lot of things like that. There's also this is completely off topic now, but yeah, oh my gosh, they just don't really understand anything about how technology works. Because I think there's also an interaction thing too, right? Because of the internet. I think the internet's really changed this. This isn't even a Pokemon podcast at this point. It's fine. Because I think back to my childhood, I knew what an 8-track was. I never had to use one. I knew what it was. I knew what all of my parents' music was because I listened to my parents' music. But that's because I didn't have the internet to distract me. And so you go to kids nowadays, they don't know what a VHS tape is. And it's just that wasn't that long ago. VHS tapes were still relevant at the turn of the century. That wasn't that long.
I think one thing that we also need to take into consideration is, like you said, that the internet just opens so many doors at the same time. Before, we might have knowledge of those things, but it's because the stream of information was very limited. You were either watching cable and you were introduced to things that you just didn't know because that's what you were watching at the time. And you didn't really have much of a choice other than other channels, and they're all talking about the same thing. Now the problem is that there's no central line of communication. Now you just go specifically to what you want to see or want to do.
And you don't see anything else.
So if you are not already knowledgeable about what a floppy disk is.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
Correct.
You won't go to a place on the online where they're talking about floppies. You're just going to talk about things that directly relate to you right now. And that's really a problem, that we do not have a centralized method of communication where we can get overall information to everyone. Now everyone just goes strictly directly to the stuff that they want, which makes a lot of specialists and a lot of things, but no one is a jack of all trades anymore.
But yeah, I'm going to end us here because now we're just not even talking about the Pokemon community anymore.
That's what you get when you get 3 old people on a podcast.
I know, It's a problem. All right, well, on that note, guys, we're going to end it here, and we're going to kick it on over to our Pokemon of the episode. We'll catch you on the flip-flop. Poke
of the episode.
Welcome to our Pokemon of the episode. Our Pokemon of the episode this week is National Dex number 230, Kingdra, the Dragon Pokemon.
Its Pokemon Ruby Pokédex entry states, Kingdra lives at extreme ocean depths that are otherwise uninhabited. It has long been believed that the yawning of this Pokemon creates spiraling ocean currents.
Kingdra, the 4th Dragon Pokemon. Oh my gosh, it's an NU borderline now. I'm so sad. They get Swift Swim, which is actually like not bad. Like it used to be a really good Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe Rain is bad right now.
I think there's just better Swift Swim options now that aren't Kingdra.
Such as?
I can think of like a million actually. We can
really,
yeah, Swift Swim Pokemon that are better than Kingdra. Let's pull this up right now. There's Ludicolo, which is probably better.
Okay.
There's
kind of.
Barraskewda. Barrascuda's a big one.
Okay, Barrascuda's really annoying. I'll give you that.
Basculegion is probably better. Dreadnought. Yeah, okay. I found all of them. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just all better. It's fine. But also like Dragon, I don't know that Dragon's like a good type per se. At least nowadays. Like pre-Gen 6, maybe.
Dragon Water was amazing before Fairy came around.
Yeah, now that there's Fairy, I just don't think it's as good.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's nearly as good. Like, it has a hard time getting around. There's also a bunch of bulky water types that have shown up since then as well, right? Like, you think of, like, Toxapex is going to be a problem for it.
Yeah.
You've got... There's just so many Pokemon that are problematic for Kingdra. That make it just not fun. It's in ZU now. Oh my gosh! Well, how the mighty have fallen. What was it back in Diamond and Pearl? It used to be OU in Diamond and Pearl, and then it was UU in Black and White.
UU in Gen 6.
Then it became RU Borderline in Gen 6, and then in Sun and Moon it became NUBL, and then in Sword and Shield it became PUBL, and then in Scarlet and Violet they're like, yeah, it's just trash now.
It was UU for a while in Auras, maybe, I think.
Yeah, it was. How the mighty have fallen.
This is why Pokemon need updates. It's a thing.
Power creep is real.
Change those hidden. There's hidden.
Change the shiny. It'll be fine.
No, the shinies for Kingdra is actually good.
Is it just purple though? Isn't it just like purple Kingdra?
It is,
it's
which
like
is a great color.
That's fine.
I love it.
Yeah, probably because it's the same palette. That's why.
Exactly.
At least it's different. You know, at least it's different. I think Kingdra's cool though. So I prefaced the Kingdra selection outside of it being like a decent Pokemon because like its base speed's still 85, which isn't a terrible speed stat. I think the problem is that its attack and special attack are both 95. As well as defense and special defense. Like it's just not like great. 75 HP also not great. But yeah, I think it's usable. It's like usable. I mean, it gets a lot of water and dragon type moves and ice type. Okay, its move pool is actually kind of hot garbage.
I think that its problem is that its stats would allow it to use Dragon Dance, but then all of its good moves are special.
Yeah.
So
it gets Outrage though, doesn't it? It has to get Outrage. No, it gets Wave Crash too. It gets Wave Crash now, which is great actually. It does not look like it does get Outrage via TM, so it can Outrage.
Yeah, but Outrage is not a good move now that Fairy's around.
Yes. Yes, you are correct. But yeah,
don't forget that amazing hidden ability of damp.
Damp. Okay. Honestly, you really just want like sniper. You probably want sniper over anything else.
Yeah.
I remember because like I used to be in Gen 4 when I first back in Gen 4, but I haven't said that in a very long time, for the record.
Yes.
I when I was playing competitive, when I first got into competitive, like I was really into rain teams. Because like Kyogre was just like really big and like at the time, like OU was still like an unknown, like OU wasn't like, it took off, but it didn't take off right away at the beginning of Gen 4. And so I don't know if people like, this is such an old thing because now, gosh, it was like 17 years ago. I hate that that's a number that I can say. But like the way like I got started in a lot of this is like there used to be like there was like the Wild West in terms of like competitive Pokemon online. And one of the big things that people would do is they would make leagues such as the Summer League. And one of my big first forays into competitive Pokemon was doing this thing called the Spring League that a YouTuber was putting on at the time. And I used it. I remember using a Kingdra in that, and like it was a big deal and everything. I remember actually, it's like a very specific memory because the way the Spring League worked, there were like 5 gym leaders or something. It felt very much like Orange Islands-esque. And we did all the battles on Pokemon Battle Revolution on the Wii. Which is another thing to think about all on its own. And I remember, but the team had a Kingdra on it and probably Kyogre and then 4 other Pokemon that I don't really remember. One of them was probably Ludicolo.
Yeah.
And I just remember because they allowed us to use like X number of legendaries or something. It was like essentially like the GS Cup format that everybody had like made up on their own. Like you're allowed. We knew the tiers because we called them all Ubers. But we I very much remember this, and I remember it was a day of school where me and Professor Sycamore, the person who originally was on the show with me, we decided to like go on this like school trip that left later than typical. So we actually like he came over to my house and like watched this battle that I set up with one of the members of this league. And I remember just like crushing them. Wow. And I remember like Sycamore was like super into it. It's like I just remember being like, maybe this is part of just being a kid, but I just remember getting like super jazzed about that kind of stuff. And especially like when your friends would get jazzed about it too. Your friends would get jazzed. And like you're just like, let's do it again.
It's definitely not just about being a kid. Like I remember when I was like when I took part in the UTC, I got crazy about my battles. Like I had like my heart was going so fast.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
I miss like Battle Revolution just because like I know we have essentially the same thing on the Switch now, but having like a dedicated battle simulator with its own music and everything just really hits differently. I really think there is a place in like the Pokemon franchise for a Pokemon Battle Revolution, by the way. Like
absolutely.
I think
especially if they're gonna do the sectioning the Pokédex thing.
I think there's a place where you could like it doesn't need to be part of home, but something that home can connect to, where all of the Pokemon can go into this other game. You just you reuse the models. They don't have to look perfect, you know. And you could essentially make a Battlefront tier-esque area like they did in Battle Revolution. And you allow online battles. I think the problem is if you allow too many online battles, people might not buy the next game or whatever. Because then it becomes like the official, like people make it's the official way to battle online is to use this thing instead of using the current game.
But you can set it up with rules. That's the thing. You have all the Pokemon available, but you still have to play through the rules. If you want to play Gen 6 rules, then we play Gen 6 rules.
So my concern is more that like Pokemon Home allows for trading, right? And so like logistically, you don't have to like if that became the battling software, like people would be like, oh, this is what we should use at regionals instead of the game, which I think a lot of us would agree with. But then you could see a potential for somebody to be able to compete in the Pokemon Regionals or the Pokemon World Championship without ever buying the game. Yeah. Because they could just have all the Pokemon transferred to them.
Maybe you need to register the new version to make a map.
That could be a way to do it. I'm not entirely against that idea. I don't know. I really want this to be a thing, but I just know logistically it makes no sense for them to make this something like this for me. But yeah, man, I just remember battling with that Kingdra and that Kyogre, like specifically those two Pokemon, and just like wiping the floor with this guy.
Yeah,
nice.
I just remember it. It was such a good memory because it was a May day, kind of like this, like it is now, and it was near the end of our junior year, and we were in high school, and we were just having a blast, like doing this. It was so much fun.
Wow.
I don't know. Those are good memories. Like early Puckle memories are good memories.
Always are, and even the memories I do with you guys today are special.
Yeah, it was. It was such a good time. Like that's a really random Kingdra story that has very little to do with Kingdra itself. But I remembered that, and I'm like, this is what I want to talk about. I want to tell this story. And
it's a good story.
Yeah, it was a good time. I remember. Then we rode our bikes to wherever we had to go for school that day. It was like down the road from my house. It wasn't that far away, and so we rode our bikes. We were literally kids on bikes that day.
Wow,
that's how old I was. We used to ride our bikes places. It was that was a good day. I remember that. Pokemon Battle Revolution I just missed. Like I really I'm doing this thing where I'm going through every generation and playing it, and I'm still stuck on Gen 1 because I haven't worked on it in a while. But like I really want to get to Gen 4 just so I can play Battle Revolution again. Like I want to beat Revolution again. I think that'd be so much fun to just do it from like nothing. But yeah. That's where I'm at. I don't know. Do you guys have any fun Kingdra stories or any fun facts about Kingdra?
I think it's really, really funny that like it was the dragon type Pokemon for the entirety of Gen 2.
Yeah.
Like, what's that about?
I also kind of feel bad for Seadra because Seadra's like legitimately a cool Pokemon design.
I was just gonna say my first reaction to Kingdra was that I hated it. I hated the design because I love Seadra so much. The design of Seadra was such a cool design, and then they put up Kingdra, and I'm like, that's not as cool. He looks kind of ugly. Now I love him, of course, but back in the day, I was like, I don't like Kingdra. I was hating on it just because I like Seadra so much.
Kingdra does look worse than Seadra. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, it looks more like an actual seahorse.
It does actually. Yeah. It does. I love the Bulbapedia page. Kingdra seems to be based on a seahorse. You don't say.
Seems to be.
You don't say Bulbapedia. I know like they have to say it in a certain way on these pages, but that's so funny.
That's like it's literally a seahorse. I've seen them like live. They look like that.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, it's so
except
funny.
They're very tiny. I didn't expect them to be quite that tiny.
It's very funny. Like there's no trivia on this either. There's no trivia on Kingdra other than it exists. I want to know why I want to know the thought process behind like a lot of Gen 2 Pokemon, because I know a lot of Gen 2 Pokemon like they existed during Gen 1's development. Like a lot of Gen 2 Pokemon did exist during Gen 1's development. Like Scizor, I think, was already in their mind.
Yes.
And there were like a few other Pokemon like that already kind of existed in the back of their mind. Like, hey, we really want these Pokemon in there. I think Tyranitar was actually like a very early thought too.
I think some of them even like exist in the game itself.
Kind of,
in a way.
Yeah, kind of.
They have an index number in Gen 1 that if you hack a Pokemon from Gen 1 to have that index number instead of its own, and you trade it to Gen 2, it will turn into that Gen 2 Pokemon. Yeah. Because they are indexed in the code of Gen 1 in a way. Yeah. Like they have placeholders for them.
Oh, wait, there's a list, actually. I found it. There's a list of Pokemon by index number in Generation 1, and there's an additional 39 index numbers. These are the numbers that would give you a Gen 2 Pokemon if you trade that missing no to like a Gen 2 game or something like that. I believe that's how it works. I'll give you the no. Yes. I'll give them to you. I don't know if these are real because I think based on just like the numbers, like the dex numbers in Generation 2, I think it just matches up to be like the last 39 in the dex. Based on my recollection looking at these, like Scissors in there, Shuckle's in there, Heracross, Ho-Oh is in there, Sneasel, Teddy Ursa, Ursaring, Slugma, Macargo, Swinub, Piloswine, Corsola, Remoraid, Octillery, Delibird, Mantine, Skarmory, Houndour, Houndoom, Kingdra is in there, Phanpy, Donphan, Porygon 2, Stantler, Smeargle, Tyrogue, Hitmontop, Smoochum, Elekid, Magby, Miltank, Blissey, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, Larvitar, Pupitar, Tyranitar, Lugia. I really feel like it's just like based on the dex numbers.
Yeah, you just recited the second half of
that's what I was gonna say.
Of the Johto dex in order, essentially.
Yeah. The only one that was off was like the Ho-Oh very early on. This is actually it. These Pokemon are simply based on Pokedex order and not indications of the original Pokemon in these slots. But there were like 39 Pokemon in those slots, and I don't know what they are. But they were probably Gen 2 Pokemon. Because like if you look at the Gen 2 beta Pokemon, I think
some of them were clearly.
Some of them were like clearly there. Like some of them were clearly in that Pokedex. Like Flaffy, Ampharos, and Mareep were just like done. In the beta, Natu and Xatu were just done. I think like Snubbull and Meryl were probably in that group as well, just based on the fact that like they were in the first Pokemon movie short.
Yeah, they appear very early in the anime.
Togepi and Togetic are also probably in there.
Definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's probably a couple others like Crobat, like some very basic things. Phanpy and Donphan are probably in there. At least Donphan is in there.
Yeah.
Slowking probably as well. I just think I miss the days where like the anime would leak new Pokemon to us before we knew. I miss those days so badly.
I have this very distinct memory of sitting in the movie theater and seeing Donphan and going, what is that?
I know, I miss it. And there's like no explanation. They don't address it, which I think is like the greatest piece of world building Pokemon could have ever done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there were a lot of Pokemon. I think Kingdra, I wonder if Kingdra was one of the Pokemon that they were just like, yeah, we're going to do this. Like this is happening. Kingdra, it is in the beta. Kingdra's in the beta. So,
maybe.
I wonder if they're just like, yeah, this is going to happen. We're going to evolve Seadra. We're just going to do it. It's fine. But yeah, very, very interesting to me. That is the Pokemon of the episode on Kingdra that we definitely talked about. And so I'm going to cut us off there, and we're going to head on over to the mailbag.
It's mail time! Send in your emails! Mail!
Welcome to our mailbag. The mailbag is the part of the show where you can send us emails at puclpodcast@gmail.com, and we may read them on the show. Last week we asked you what your top and bottom 5 regional forms of Pokemon are, and we're very excited to get to that. But first of all, before we do anything else, I would like everybody to know that this segment is brought to you by the fictional energy drink Green Tauros, the energy drink that gives you hooves.
Hooves!
And as always, we'll give out the Green Tauros badge to anybody we deem worthy. So we are going to go ahead and get to our first email. It is going to be from Timmy C.
I've got this one. What's up, Buckle Crew? Timmy C here. Regional variants was probably the coolest idea, giving old Pokemon new life with a new typing and design. My bro and I speculated what kinds of regional variants would be cool to have, but for now, let's get on with the top 5 first. 1. Hisuian Zoroark. I actually made a competitive one for my doubles team. Team in nature, trained in special attack and speed, obviously. Its moves are Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, and Hyper Voice. It would first take the form of a dark type, so that they will think to use a fighting type move on him. Then it would use Nasty Blood, followed by Hyper Voice, and I gave it the Throat Spray, ouch, to increase his special attack even further. He would then spam Hyper Voice while everyone dies on the other side. Sorry for the long first entry, but what do you think of that build? I think it works perfectly well for what it is.
Yes, it does.
It's very evil and very effective.
It's very cute.
Yep. 2, Alolan Executor. I love it for the memes and the fact that a tree is more dragon than the fire dragon from Gen 1. Oh, yeah, we should have mentioned that.
I mean, that is true.
Yeah. 3, Alolan Vulpix. It's so adorable. Enough said. Oh, definitely. Enough said. Sneasler. Yes, I'm a Sneasel/Weavile stan, as Sneasler is no exception. Also, Linian, I'll forgive you for the jab about Weavile's fro. 5, Clodsire. I need a giant pillow of this Pokemon. It would be the best form of therapy for just about anyone. You know what? You're right.
It does exist.
Of Clodsire?
Yeah, I think they just released a Clodsire plush, I think. That's that big.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Let me find it. You don't have the Pokemon Center like we do, but...
I don't. And it's probably sold out anyway.
They've been better about stocking things recently, actually. Like, I've actually been pretty impressed with it. Now I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna have to find it now, because, like, it does exist.
In the meantime, I'm going to read off his bottom 5 regional form. 1, Alolan Persian. A Persian that got stung by a Beedrill and needs some ointment and a redesign. 2, Galarian Stunfisk. I already didn't like regular Stunfisk, but somehow, Pokemon, you made it worse. 3, Galarian Mr. Mime. So, he's a Mr. Mime that was left in the freezer for too long? Okay. Also, the joke about Mr. Rhyme being a corporate tap dancing drone was hilarious. Well, I would tip my hat, but I don't think it was mine. 4, Hisuian Avalugg. It's not that impressive or a worry design. Flipping it would have improved it. 5, Alolan Grimer. Alolan Muck is fine, but that yellow around Grimer's mouth looks disgusting. Even worse in its shiny form. So, essentially, you and I and Linian, not Seth, obviously, agree on a lot of this stuff, which I appreciate. One last thought. An idea for an episode for you guys. Pokemon that best represent the 7 deadly sins. Just a weird idea that a buddy of mine came up with. I think they're all Ultra Beasts. Like, the Ultra Beasts are themed around that.
I think the Ultra Beasts actually are, because, like, weren't there code names like Gluttony and...
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that already exists. I'm not gonna lie.
Buzzwole is Pride, Buzzwole is Gluttony...
And Pheromosa's Lust.
And Pheromosa.
Pheromosa's Lust, yeah.
Lust, and Nihiligo is Wrath, I think.
That's...
Or maybe Kartana is Wrath and Nihiligo is Apathy or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember. But this definitely exists.
They definitely had, they were themed around that.
Yes.
So I think we do have a list for you.
Yes.
Thanks for reading my long email. Keep doing what you do, Timmy C. Well, thank you for writing in.
Yes, thank you, Timothy. All right, our next email this week is going to be from Brayden. Hey, Puckle, it's Brayden, and I love this week's topic so much. My bottom 5 regional forms are Galarian Zigzagoon line. I don't understand how that's wrong. That's just wrong, though.
No.
when I realized that they took the adorable Gen 3 Pokemon and turned it into that, yeah, an awesome Pokemon, I was pretty mad. I mean, it wasn't bad enough on my list to put it lower, but I think 5 is good. I disagree wholeheartedly.
It's the kiss.
Same.
The only problem I have with it is that they made it a dark type, because I think they have a problem when they do like regional forms of a normal type Pokemon. They just automatically go dark type, and it's just it's very I don't like that, so I can agree with that part, but either way,
missed opportunity to just leave it make it a rock.
Yeah, especially with the design.
Right, that would have been good actually. Number 4, Paldean Tauros, water and fire forms. I was pretty hyped to get a water type black Tauros, but I didn't know that you could only get it on Violet. I felt so stupid. I made at least 5 sandwiches.
Oh no.
I don't like the way they distributed it. I do like that there's 3 of them. I don't like the way they distributed the 3 of them. And then let's see. Galarian Meowth. It just made me mad, especially that they already did another regional form of Meowth. I kind of agree, but I also really love Galarian Meowth and Berserker, so I'm not mad anymore.
Meh.
Number 2, Galarian Corsola. I liked it, but I don't know how it went from happy blue and pink piece of coral to sad and depressed and dead one.
Climate change.
Because global warming.
Climate change. Global warming is literally doing this. That is actually a thing. Please go read about global warming so that you understand that reference. That's what happens to dead coral.
It's an endangered species.
And then number 1, Galarian Stunfisk. Not gonna lie, I think y'all covered everything I was gonna say about it. Actually, that one, of this list, that is probably the only one I really agree with. Like, I want to know who, when they were designing the Pokemon for generation, like the regional forms, for Galar, were just like, you know who really needs one? Stunfisk. Stunfisk needs one. It's gonna make it not better at all.
And it needs to be like that.
What makes me even angrier about it is, so I as much as I like to knock on Pokemon Go, I do play it. And in the competitive scene for Pokemon Go in Great League, on the latter, Galarian Stunfisk is one of the number one choices. Yeah, because of the way its moves are set up and its typing, in the 3v3 blind style that is the ladder of Pokemon Go competitive, it turns out to be one of the S tier choices.
Wow.
And I just hate how much I see it. So
there really is a place for everyone.
Yes, there is. You are absolutely correct. So let me continue. Now for my top 5. I love Alolan Sandshrew and the Vulpix lines, but I think I like Sandshrew more. That is the correct answer.
It's not, but it's fine. They're both amazing.
There is another email, I forget. I don't think we're going to read it today, but there is another one where they really hyped up Alolan Sandshrew and said it should be the Puckle mascot, and we name it Drinky with a bow tie, and he sits down and he cools my cocktails.
Oh.
I cannot agree more that this should be an official Puckle mascot. I do love Alolan Sandshrew. It is one of my favorite Pokemon that I just love, and I don't know why.
You should 3D print yourself ice cube makers shaped like Alolan Sandshrew.
That's not a terrible idea.
I know.
I'm not. Oh, now I've got a project.
Sorry.
Galarian Darmanitan. I just flat out love the ice after the fire one from Unova. Galarian Darmanitan's a good one. Galarian Ponyta. It's so cool in the Glimwood Tangle, and the anime and cards just made it cooler. I don't know about the cards, but I actually don't know if I paid attention to the anime about it either.
I just love the design.
Yeah, it's called My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. I believe that. Number 2, Hisuian Braviary. I never thought too much of the Pokemon until I saw the shiny version. If y'all can't tell by my choices yet, I'm a shiny hunter, and I flat up love blue. Number 1, Hisuian Zorua is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I hunted outbreaks in PLA for weeks. One day I noticed there was an outbreak of it. I was hunting and then I flew up to dodge an attack. Then I hear the shiny sound. I rushed down to find the adorable little blue Zorua.
Nice.
Thank you so much for reading it. I would also love to see an episode of What If Pokemon Legends Jirachi happened. I've drawn a ton of designs for the Pokemon, and if you do, I will for sure share. Thank you again for everything you do, and I guess I'll see you around. Sincerely, Brayden. Well, thank you for that.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. Well, our last email today is going to come from Thomas O'Brien, and Jushiro's got this one.
He says, "How's it going, Puckle? I actually find myself having a tough time narrowing down my top 5. I've always liked a lot of the different forms of Pokemon. I'm not in no particular order. Here's the 5 especially stand out. Hisuian Arcanine. They made one of my all-time favorite Pokemon look way cooler than it already did. Alolan Golem. I love the rock electric typing as well as the design.
The typing is good. I like the typing. It's not a good typing, but I like it.
Galarian Rapidash. Psychic Fairy is such a great typing. Turning Rapidash into a unicorn is pretty cool too. Well, I think it already was a unicorn, but more fairy style.
Yeah, it was already a unicorn.
Yeah, but now it's like a rainbow candy floss unicorn, you know?
Right. I'm still waiting for that Pegasus Mega Evolution, though.
Right?
That is also the correct answer.
Maybe in the next one. Anyway. The Galarian legendary birds, more specifically Articuno and Moltres, I don't actually dislike Zapdos all that much, but I especially like the others. Their designs are so cool. I may have been slightly annoyed at how we had to catch them in Galar, but seeing them made it all worth it. And then Obstagoon. They took an HM slave and made him evolve into something awesome. Very nice choices. I have a much easier time determining my bottom 5. Alolan Dugtrio. Seriously, Pokemon? You wanted a surfer Pokemon and went with Dugtrio? I actually liked Alolan Dugtrio after I found out what it is. For those that don't want, this is just here on the email. There is a metal fiber that grows in Hawaii because of the molten lava.
Yeah, it's a lava thing.
And it looks just like golden blonde hair. So there's rocks in Hawaii that have golden, but it's not hair. It's a metal fiber. And it looks like they have a wig. So that's why the trio looks like it was. Once I learned, because I was right there with everyone, like, what is this? But once I learned that, I'm like, the trio makes total sense and I love it. Yeah. Anyway, Galarian Meowth. Meowth isn't cool enough to get 2 regional forms and a Gigamax form. I'm sorry, what? Meowth ain't cool enough?
Why are we mad at Meowth? What has Meowth ever done to anybody? What has Meowth done to anybody to hurt them like this?
Meowth has only bring joy to this life through Team Rocket.
Team Rocket is the biggest casualty of changing the anime. It's not Ash. Change my mind.
Yeah, no need. I agree. It's not Ash the one we miss. It's Jesse and James and Meowth. Anyway, Galarian Meowth was just unnecessary. Don't agree though. Surfetch and Runigers. What? Their evolution methods are just dumb. Okay, I agree that the evolution methods are dumb, but the Pokemon themselves are great. I love them both.
Like, Surfetched is actually really good, and I do like the method of evolution for Surfetched. Runigris is a bit harder to defend, but, like, Surfetched I think is fine.
You mean impossible to defend, but...
Yeah, and I just love both of their designs. I wish they were better. Competitively. The Hisuian Stardust. I can't tell you how unexcited I was about their designs. Hisuian Disui get a pass for being different enough from the original form, but the other two are too similar to their original forms. I actually do not necessarily disagree.
Well, look, Typhlosion needed very little to become really, really, really perfect, and they did what they needed to do.
Charizard without wings. That's all it needed to be when it grew up, okay?
No, look, Hisuian Typhlosion is so cute. I adore it.
Hisuian Typhlosion, I think, is the best winner. I don't think Samurott was actually that different. It's just like here's evil Samurott. That's what that was.
Right. They should have made him two-legged with a sword.
Yeah, bipedal. Yeah.
Yeah, bipedal. Anyway. Then Alolan Muck. I can't understand the lore behind this form and still think it looks weird. Just because it looks better than regular Muck doesn't help.
Someone doesn't like ice cream.
Some honor mentions on my top 5 go to Galarian Weezing and Alolan Marowak. Excellent. Let's hope Pokemon keeps bringing great alternate forms of our favorite.
I'm actually kind of bummed because I wonder if they're moving away from that and trying to go to the convergent evolution type things.
You think so? I don't think so. They only did like 2 Pokemons and they were not that.
They only did 2 regionals in Scarlet and Violet. There was Tauros and Wooper. We got Toadscruel, we got Sinistra, we got Wiglet, I kind of lump a lot of the Paradox into that same thing. Because I think they wanted to make regional Pokemon without the baggage. They wanted to make regional Pokemon and still advance the Pokédex number. And not advance the Pokédex number, but think of Meowth. Let's think of Meowth. If they put Meowth in a game now, they have to put in Galarian Meowth, Berserker, and they have to put all the Meowth in the game. Yeah. And I don't think they want to do that anymore. I'm a little concerned because I really like some of them, and I don't know, and I like regional Pokemon, regional forms are some of the best things Pokemon has done in the past decade.
Well, it's the only thing that has stuck, and they haven't gone away with.
Yeah, I'm worried that it's not going to stick as much as we want. I am a little concerned about that. They can pry a little Ninetales out of my cold dead hand. No. I think the ones that exist will stick. I just don't know if there's going to be future ones. You know what I mean? Because honestly, I don't think Wiglet needs to exist. It's fine. Wug Trio is creatively bankrupt. It's fine.
At least it's funny.
It is funny. But yeah, thank you for all those emails. Is there one that you guys like specifically today?
Who's the controversial one?
What, the one that I agreed barely with their bottom list. That was Braden.
I guess them, because they stirred the most conversation. Not sending an invite for people to just disagree with us.
Well, that's what you just did, Jushiro.
I take it back.
But Braden, you win the Green Tourist badge. If you would like to email us next week at puclpodcast@gmail.com, let us know how maybe you've changed in interacting with Pokemon or the Pokemon community. We would love to hear from you guys. Of course, or if you have any like good stories from back in the day when you first started playing Pokemon, I would love to hear those as well. But going ahead, I would love to hang out with you guys even more. You can check us out at pucklediscord.com. Additionally, you can also follow us over at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You could also follow us over at Twitch at twitch.tv/thepucklepodcast. You can follow us over at youtube@youtube.com/pucklepodcast. If you want to help support the show, you can go over to our Patreon at patreon.com/pucklepodcast. Or you could go to trollandtoad.com and buy cardboard like I do. And use code PucklePod5 at checkout for a 5% discount. Great way to support the show and get yourself a little bit of something too. But on that note, guys, I have been Trainer Thatch.
I have been the fluffiest Whimsicott.
Some say it's been Jushiro.
And here in the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's closing time.
It's closing time in Lavender Town. Time to say our goodbye.